Get out!
Hello, tankers and tankettes, and oh my god, it's a mouse! Oh my god, it's a mouse! Oh my god, you guys! I've coveted this tank for so long, and I finally have one. And it's pretty much what I expected it would be, and I have to say, I am enjoying it. You'll notice this particular match, this was my second match in the mouse. Fosh has got one, which he's had one for a couple of months, but Circon's got one as well. And if you were watching the stream, you'll know that's because Fu was here and Mirano actually donated enough gold that he could free XP straight through to the mouse. So we had a mouse platoon on Himmelsdorf. You can imagine how this went. So yeah, like I said, I have been coveting this tank for quite a long time. I've basically wanted a mouse since I first started playing the game. It's one of those tanks where I was looking through the wiki after my first couple of hundred battles or whatever, and I saw this thing and I thought, I'll never be playing the game long enough to get that. But lo and behold, here I am. It's only taken me over a year. Although actually it's only been the last couple of months where I have seriously been going for the mouse. I mean, I had the Tiger P for a long while and was very slowly ground my way through that. And once I got to the VKA and the VKB, I actually spent a lot more time sort of purposefully grinding through those, because at that point the goal was a lot closer. But it's still quite a lot of XP to get to the mouse. You have to really want it. Not only is it nearly 200,000 XP, but when you get to the VKB, they actually make you grind through the mouse gun to get to the mouse. So that's another 60k XP on top of that. So you have to really want one of these things, pretty much. So this particular match, which was Himmelsdorf, and Himmelsdorf is just godlike for a mouse. You want every match to be on Himmelsdorf in a mouse. Unfortunately, it can't be. But this match, yeah, I was thinking initially I'd stick with Circon and Fosh, but then I came over to support this flank because it badly needed, like it needed the help, basically. It badly looked like it needed the help. And it's kind of a good thing I did come over, because it's me and the 704 for quite a lot of it. There's an ISA and a PTA coming over, but that PTA is not going to last very long at all. He goes a bit too YOLO, which in a PTA is not the best idea. So yeah, look at this, PTA is just going for it, and he's going to regret that, because we know what's down there. Somehow the PTA hasn't, you know, he's forgotten, and boom. Yeah, ammo racked for the last 69 health, GG. So yeah, on the whole, I think it is a good idea I came over here. The mouse going up the hill was, you know, that was a non-starter. But this is what the mouse is good at. It's not so much dishing out the damage, although an incautious Yak Tiger, yes please, look at that angling. It's just about being a roadblock more than anything else, and I kind of knew this going for the mouse. It's not like, it's not a hero tank. It's not like the IS-7 where you can do absurd amounts of damage and bounce all the shots and carry a team massively. This is very much more a team-oriented tank. It's a tank that you go into, I think, if you go into the mouse expecting all of the glory, you're going to be disappointed. It's not that kind of tank at all. It is a tank where you have to be a team player, because that's what the mouse is about. It's about supporting your team. It's not about holding, you know, dozens of enemies at bay and dishing out all of the damage. It's about presence. It's about being on a flank and attracting the shells. And people say this, you know, it's there to be shot at, and it is. It doesn't sound much fun, but for some reason I still do manage to have fun in this thing. Anyway, artillery is on this side, clearly. I mean, we can see from the map trace where he was. He's probably in A1 now, so I'm going to back up now, because artillery is more of a serious threat. I was bouncing a lot of those shots those guys were throwing down at me, but artillery shells, not so much. I should say I haven't got the spawn liner on this, which seems kind of an essential thing. It's not as bad as the olden days before the arty cap, where you would be in a tier 10 battle and there would be like 7-8 artillery. It's no wonder nobody played the mouse. There's still, of course, artillery at high tiers to worry about, but with the hard cap, you know, even seeing 5 artillery in a battle, at high tiers especially, is a much rarer thing these days. But on matches where you see those kind of figures, you know it's going to be ouchy. Now, Circon and Foch were seeing a lot more action than I was, to be honest, but this was the... the reason I picked the second game was the first game was... It was a win, but it wasn't a particularly interesting match to watch. I went back and reviewed the replay just on the off chance, but I decided, nah. I'd go with the second match instead. So, there we go, bye-bye E75. I know the Jagdtiger is trying to sneak round, so, yeah, I'm going to back up and do a 3-point turn, which takes some doing in a mouse. And that 704 clearly feels confident enough to go for the pincer movement, so at least one of us is going to get this Jagdtiger. And I don't know if you caught at the periphery of the screen there, but there was a tree went over, so we know he's close by. And there he is, proxy spotted him. That artillery was, yeah, kind of tempting to go for the kill, but I decided to stay on target instead. But it didn't matter, the 704 got him. And that's pretty much the match as far as I'm concerned. 2500 damage. I think I took like 7k plus damage, just over 7k. It was okay. But I think this kind of match perfectly highlights what the mouse is about. And it was only my second battle. But I already know what I'm doing in this, more or less. It is... You gotta, angle often to absurd degrees, because there are weak spots frontally that you have to protect, and it's a matter of being there, getting people to shoot at you, but not too much, relying on the armor, but not too much. It's kind of a psychological thing almost. Being there in a mouse is it's hard to describe. It's your hit points pool and it's your armor, basically. But the thing is, if you sat out in the open, even when there's no artillery, people are going to switch to premium shells eventually. So your armor is only going to take you so far. You can't rely on your armor, which is really true for any armored tank. I'm trying to think of examples here. I think the KV-4 is probably the best one. The armor's good to an extent, but if you're purely relying on the armor, then you're going to die really quickly. You have to use your brains as well. So we'll go on to the next match. This is just me on my own this time. This is Lakeville, and we'll just start the recording. So, this time, like I said, I was on my own. It's no artillery, which is good. The matchmaking is fairly good, although for some reason we've got a pair of tier 7s. Let's just check that. Yeah, it's platoons. We've got a pair of tier 7s and a KV-5, so that's two separate, slightly derpy platoons. So this was a much more interesting match. This was the 5th or 6th match, and I've just noticed a thing actually, because yeah, I have to do this every single time I do a replay for recording, because it does not remember. And this is I don't know, the last couple of patches it's been a derpy feature that they introduced, and it's kind of annoying. I mean, if you're just watching a replay every so often, it's fine, but if you're recording a lot of replays like I'm doing, I have to remember to do it every single time, because the game can't remember, apparently. But it's not a bug that the developers are likely to fix, because it's such a minor thing. Anyway, I'm going to slowly chug into position, because that's what you do in the mouse. Actually, let's fast forward it very slightly. This one, I did briefly consider going in the valley, but then I thought, no, that's a bit silly. Let's not do that. So, I'm, oh, yeah, spotted. I'm about to take a hit. Now that was, I think, either the Foch or the 704. Actually, no, it won't have been the Foch. The Foch doesn't have enough alpha. Or the Waffenträger Panzer IV. Or maybe even one of the E4s, although I don't think it was enough damage for an E4. But that was about 700-ish hit points, just over 700 hit points. Stolen from me, which is kind of painful, but it matters a bit less in the mouse, because you have got so many hit points. 3000 is the most hit points of any tank in the game at all. There we go, blind shot, completely speculative, no idea if there was anything there or not, but it seemed worth a go. Now the DPM on the mouse is kind of low, and like I've said, unlike other armoured tanks, like say the T95, the KV-4's got a decent gun. The DPM might be at the lower end, but they have got at least reasonable guns for their tiers. The mouse gun is barely better than the T34 gun. It's bad for a tier 10, but it's kind of usable if you've got sufficient weak spot Wow, weak spot knowledge. Yeah, weak spot. I don't even know. Star Trek on the brain, apparently. And I'm sure if I were quick off the mark, I could make some comment about Spock's brain, which is one of the slightly less good episodes of the original series, and how that would be relevant to my own, yeah, derpiness. But anyway. So there's a whole bunch of ours in here. There's a whole bunch of theirs here. But crucially, there's nobody on the 4 line. There's no one on the coastal path, which is kind of bad because they're tank destroyers that are there. And there are clearly some tank destroyers there, can sit and snipe with impunity. We can't really hit it back. I've already realised this, so I'm being really cautious about poking round because they can shoot me from the coastal path, which is kind of bad. And I've already lost 700 hit points before I even got anywhere close to the city. So, yeah, well, they know I'm here, unsurprisingly. E100 there, IS-7. Being really cautious at the moment. I think these guys realise as well. Normally I'd want to push up to the church, but that seems like a bad idea. And whoa, hello. Yeah, IS-7, and I just got whacked from the coastal path. Yeah, ouch. That was the waffle trigger Panzer IV. And that was, I thought I was far back enough there, but clearly not. So let's get some side-scraping action going on the side of the Tiger II. See if I can watch the back of these guys here. This is kind of bad that I took so much damage already. Oh, see, that was a perfect shot in the side of the KV-4, but the low DPM, you know, even with the gun rammer, even with 100% crew, you know, I went into this with 100% crew. Ow! Ow! Okay, I think that was the 704. That was the turret weak spot, but still, ow! Okay, okay, 40% hit points. That's not so good. It's 0-2, 1-2 now. You know, we're doing all right in terms of. It's not looking like a terrible loss in terms of numbers, but you'll see there the 110 E4s are down at our cap already. There are some defenders though, so that's good. They're not just gonna get round and kill the Valley guys in the back that easily. I'm actually backing up to this position because it seemed quicker than actually. Hello, IS-7. It seemed quicker than sort of turning the tank around and then getting into position and then turning the tank around again. I think you have to think about things like that in the house just because it does traverse so slowly. Now that bat chat is just boatload of damage to IS-7, but I don't know. He just sits there, and yeah, he's reloading at the moment, and he's just sitting there. I don't know why. He's about to die. It's not like he was tracked. I don't know. You know, if his engine was out, surely he would have repaired by that point. I don't know. I don't know. But that's a bat chat that's out of the game, and it's now just me and the E100 in the city. The KV-5 and the VK-45B further back. This is not so good. So I'm going to pull back a little bit. Basically, if I can watch the E100's back and he can watch my back, we might weather this storm. But 3-4, you know, we're still even. This does have the potential to go either way. One in the KV-4. This gun is not the most accurate. And actually, that's my biggest complaint about the gun, is it's like the KV-5 gun. If you're going to give a gun low penetration for its tier, at least make it, accurate. At least make it able to hit the weak spots, because you need to aim for the weak spots, and you need to be able to pull off the snapshot. But that's where these tanks suffer, I think. Low penetration and low accuracy for their tier. It's not so good. The mouse does have compensations, you know, the KV-5 has compensations, but those are the buffs I would make to both. However, having said you know, having mentioned buffs, oh hello, Object 704. Let's have a present waiting for you. Having mentioned buffs, the mouse is actually in patch 8.10 getting a turret traverse speed buff, which is very welcome. Oh, angle, angle, angle. There we go. He's fired, and he's for fired. I'm doing so well today. I should say, actually, this is my second go at recording this. I had all kinds of technical problems the first time round. Not just with the video, but with the audio as well, so yeah. It's like I had everything I wanted to say perfectly down in the first video, and then it turned out I couldn't use either the audio or the video for it. So I'm kind of trying to remember what I was saying, and oh, ouch! Yeah, that one went through. Don't know if that was the turret with the lower front plate or whatever, but that IS-7, yeah, ow, ow. This is a bad place right now. So let's back up. I can't angle against both of them. Well, I'm showing my side to the IS-7, obviously, so no, that was intended for the lower front plate. I think went into its upper front plate, and like I said, this is a very, very bad gun for snapshots, even with the turret traverse. It's like I was saying earlier. Was I saying earlier? I know I said the first time round. This tank there are way more useful modules for this tank than there are actual module spaces. I think I mentioned it, spall liner, vert stabs and rammer, which are all pretty much essential, but with the aim time, you know, the gun lane drive would be really useful as well. Optics would be really, really useful for the extra view range, because it's got 400 base view range, but there's just not enough spaces, and I think the spall liner, the rammer and the vert stabs are absolutely essential. They are like the most essential. The other two are just like, they would be really nice, but they're not quite as essential. Ah, 10 health he got away with. Okay, but our Waffenträger E100 is coming up, so there we go. The IS-7 is about to be balked as well. Unfortunately, the guys in the valley are... They are at... Wow, see that accuracy. That was a complete waste of a premium shell. The guys in the valley are about to be balked also, but we're gonna hold through this just about. Now, on premium ammo, I have found a thing, and I've not even played 20 battles with this yet, but I've found that you come across two kinds of players that you especially notice when you're playing in a really, really well armoured tank. And I think it's more noticeable when you're playing a really well armoured tank. You get those that just spam the gold ammo regardless, and those players are annoying whenever you meet them, in whatever tank you meet them. Some tanks, like for instance, let's say you're driving an AMX 5100, it doesn't matter what type of ammo people are shooting at you especially. AP or APCR or heat, it's all going to go through anyway, unless you're really lucky. The mouse, however, and things like the KV4, sometimes you will get people that just spam the gold ammo at you. They don't bother to aim for weak spots. Things like the KV4, it's more annoying because it's going to go through wherever. You know, your armor is only so good as the fact that if people are good and they're aiming for weak spots, there's a chance they'll pen, and if you're angling and hiding your weak spots, then okay. But sometimes people just, they spam all of the gold ammo, they just don't bother learning weak spots. They usually aren't the best players, although sometimes you will find players who, particular tanks, especially, you know, there are a couple that spring to mind, like for instance the T-54, they just spam all of the gold ammo, and their win rate in that particular tank is, you know, it pulls up their global win rate kind of thing. But the T-57 Heavy is another one where you particularly notice people firing a lot of gold ammo. But that's almost less annoying in the mouse, because if you're properly angled, they actually have to still really be aiming for the weak spots, although it depends. You know, if you're surrounded and overwhelmed, then it doesn't matter either way. But I've found that the second group, the people who are more judicious in their use of gold ammo, they're actually more of a threat, because you'll find a lot of people, and it's the way you're supposed to really use gold ammo, is, here we go, HE shell, boom, wasn't really that much damage considering. What you'll find is that people that save it for the kind of the clutch situations, the situations where they need it, if you're trusting too much in the armor of the mouse, you're going to get spanked pretty bad, because you might bounce the first couple of shots and you're sitting there thinking, haha, you know, there's no RT, I'm safe, I'm really well angled here, they'll never get me. They just switch the gold ammo and then they aim for your weak spots, and that's the point where it goes through. So that's why you can't really trust the mouse armor that much in comparison to Well, actually, I don't think there is any really armored tank where you can trust the armor that much. It's all a matter of degrees, really. You still need brains to play an armored tank. Um, it's harder in a way compared to something where you don't really need to worry about the armor, and it's more about mobility. And it's kind of like that at that stage, you know that your hit point pool is the thing. You know that your mobility is the thing. Whereas with the more armor tanks like the Maaaaaaus, it's a lot more uncertain. You don't know if a shot is going to bounce or not. It's kind of more of a risk when you do trust to your armor. So you have to learn to know when to trust to your armor, when to take that risk, basically. And I think that's the thing that kind of comes with experience. But yeah, when you're driving a Maaaaaaus or any armor tank, you do have to expect a certain amount of gold ammo to come your way. And you have to expect a certain amount of artillery attention as well. So, yeah, on the whole, I like the Maaaaaaus. Some maps, it does totally suck. You know, Sand River, for instance, or El Haloof. Some maps, you think to yourself, yeah, okay, there's a lot of artillery, or it's a really open map. This is just going to be painful. And yeah, there's not much you can do about that. You can just hope that the rest of your team is decent and hope for a good game. And skill will take you so far, but some maps, skill will only take you so far. Other maps, you know, if it was Himmelsdorf every single battle, the Maaaaaaus would be totally OP. Unfortunately, that's not the case. I've yet to find the secret cheat codes that gives you Himmelsdorf every battle, but if there were such codes, I'm sure everyone would love to know them. So, yeah, I somehow doubt those exist. So, yeah, Maaaaaaus. My second tier 10, and I think it was worth it. It was worth the grind. And it's not going to be for everybody. It is a fairly specialised kind of tank, but I'm quite glad I went for it, all things considered. So if you enjoyed this pair of replays, you can hit the like button, you can leave a comment below, you can subscribe to my channel, and of course, as always, stay tuned for more.